Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're taking a look ahead, trying to picture what the world of technology might actually feel like around the year 2030.
Yeah, it's fascinating territory.
We're not going to drown you in jargon, though. The idea is to sift through what the experts are forecasting, look at the big trends, and, give you a clear sense of what might be coming.
Exactly. And we've got some really good sources to draw on, things like Technology in 2030, top 20 big tech predictions, another piece on the biggest technology trends in the next 10 years, plus ongoing stuff from McKinsey's Next Normal series,
So it's a mix. Some things feel pretty certain, others are maybe a bit more speculative.
for sure. Gives us a good range from solid expectations to some, well, more forward-looking possibilities.
Okay, so our mission really is to pull out those key technological shifts, the ones that could genuinely change things by 2030. We want you to get the main takeaways without, needing an engineering degree.
Sounds like a plan. Where should we start?
All right, let's unpack the first huge one. AI and automation. It comes up everywhere in these forecasts.
Oh, absolutely. And what's interesting is how it's expected to shift from being this, like, buzzword,
Yeah, AI this, AI that.
right, to becoming more like the underlying plumbing, integrated into almost everything we do, searching online, streaming shows, banking. You already see it, but it'll get deeper.
So less visible in a way.
Kind of. One source even reckons that by 2034, maybe sooner, we might not even actively think about AI being there. It'll just be.
Just part of the background fabric. And a big part of how we interact with all this is apparently going to be voice, right?
Yeah, that's a strong theme. Advances in natural language processing, basically. How well computers understand us when we talk.
And how well they can talk back.
Exactly. And speech generation. It's all pointing towards a future where, talking to our devices feels much more natural. Maybe even the primary way we interact with a lot of tech.
Instead of typing and swiping all the time.
Well, maybe not replacing them entirely, but voice could become much more central. Think about seamless conversations with your tech, where it gets the context, maybe even anticipates what you need based on, I don't know, past behavior, that kind of thing.
Okay, that makes sense. Now, something else that jumped out at me was robots. But maybe not the kind we see in sci-fi movies.
Right, not necessarily C-3PO walking down the street.
Yeah.
The focus seems to be more on purpose-built robots, machines designed for specific tasks.
Like where?
Think warehouses, manufacturing floors, construction sites, places like that. AI is the key enabler again.
How so?
Well, advancements in AI are making these robots much better at moving around complex environments, staying stable, handling objects, tasks that are maybe dangerous or just really repetitive for humans.
Gotcha. So more specialized robotic tools powered by smarter AI.
Pretty much.
But, okay, this widespread AI and automation, it obviously brings up some pretty big questions for society, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely. You can't talk about this without thinking about the impact on jobs, um, questions about wealth distribution, and really the kind of decisions we need to be making now to steer this in a good direction.
Yeah, because these technologies don't just happen in a vacuum, right? The choices we make really matter for what kind of future unfolds.
Precisely. It connects to everything else.
Okay, let's switch gears slightly. What about our digital lives? That line between online and offline seems blurrier than
It
ever.
really does, especially, for younger people who've grown up with this constant connectivity.
And the sources talk about the metaverse potentially making a comeback, even though the initial hype maybe cooled off.
Yeah, it's interesting. Maybe not exactly as it was first pitched, but the underlying idea of more immersive, integrated digital experiences, that seems to be sticking around.
So, better VR and AR leading to these digital spaces being more important for what? Socializing, working?
Potentially, yes. VR offering those fully immersive worlds and AR overlaying digital stuff onto our view of the real world. As the tech gets smoother and, frankly, less clunky,
Less clunky would be good.
definitely, it could become a much bigger part of life. But there's also a counter idea mentioned.
Oh, what's that?
The possibility of a kind of digital backlash, maybe a whole generation or at least a significant group actively choosing to disconnect more, to prioritize physical reality.
Ah, like a pendulum swing. Too much digital saturation leads to a craving for the real.
Exactly. It's this tension, isn't it, between the digital and the physical. On one hand, you've got predictions of VR becoming almost indistinguishable from reality, maybe around 2040,
Wow.
and AR blending things seamlessly. But on the other hand, this growing awareness that we need balance, that tangible real-world stuff matters, that tension will likely be a big story of the next decade.
Okay, fascinating. Let's move to another massive area, healthcare. Biotechnology seems poised for some major leaps.
It really does. Gene editing, especially CRISPR-Cas9, comes up a lot.
Explain CRISPR quickly for us.
Sure. Think of it like very precise molecular scissors for DNA. It lets scientists make targeted changes to the genetic code.
And the implications are?
Potentially revolutionary. The ability to correct genetic disorders, maybe even before birth, reducing inherited diseases, possibly lowering predispositions to things like cancer or Alzheimer's later in life. It's huge for potentially extending healthy lifespan.
Wow. Okay. And it's not just gene editing, is it? Regenerative medicine.
Right. Stem cell research, the potential to maybe regrow damaged tissues, or even whole organs. Think about the impact on organ transplant waiting lists or avoiding immune rejection issues.
That sounds like science fiction.
It's getting closer to science fact. And if you combine that with our ability to understand individual genetic codes...
You get personalized medicine.
Exactly. Treatments, cures, preventative strategies tailored specifically to your genetic makeup, not just a one-size-fits-all approach.
Of course, all this raises massive ethical questions too, right?
Yeah.
Gene editing, especially.
Oh, absolutely massive. Consent, equality of access, unintended consequences down the line, data privacy. The ethical frameworks need to develop just as fast as the technology. That's a critical piece.
Definitely something to keep watching. Okay, another theme that feels unavoidable is sustainability.
Yeah, driven by necessity, it seems. The sources suggest that by, say, 2034, the impacts of climate change and pollution will be much more tangible for many people.
Like what?
More climate-induced migration, serious water scarcity in more regions, impacts on farming, declining crop yield. These aren't abstract future problems. They're becoming present-day realities.
And the response will likely be?
More regulation.
Yeah.
Governments, international bodies stepping in with mandated sustainability measures because, well, they'll have to.
And technology's role in this?
Absolutely central. You'll see sustainability baked into tech development. Think renewable energy powering everything, including those massive data centers.
Right, which consume huge amounts of power.
Exactly. Also, circular economy approaches in manufacturing, designing products to be reused or recycled. And AI being used to optimize resource use, predict environmental issues, reduce waste. It's all interconnected.
So tech development and sustainability efforts will likely be two sides of the same coin.
Very much so. You almost can't separate them going forward.
Okay, this is fascinating. Now, our sources get pretty specific about emerging tech expected by 2030. There's a list of 10 that seem quite likely.
Yeah, a kind of top 10 list of what to watch for. It covers a lot of ground.
Let's run through them quickly. What's first?
Applied AI. So AI becoming easier to use, more accessible for businesses and organizations for practical tasks, not just theoretical.
Okay. Then zero latency connectivity.
Basically, super fast, almost instantaneous internet, think way beyond 5G. Crucial for things like real-time AI applications, complex remote operations.
Got it. ACS vehicles.
Right. That stands for Autonomous Connected Electric and Shared Vehicles. We're already seeing this trend, but it's expected to accelerate with smarter AI and big investments in green transport.
Makes sense. What's next?
The biotechnology bomb. We touched on this, but AI is really speeding up discoveries in health, agriculture, even creating new sustainable materials.
Okay. And climate change mitigation technology.
Yeah, more advanced renewables, better energy storage, maybe practical carbon capture systems finally taking off. Stuff designed specifically to tackle the climate crisis.
Then there's quantum computing. Still feels a bit out there.
It's still early days for widespread use, but its potential is enormous for specific, really complex problems. Think designing new materials, drug discovery and pharmaceuticals, complex aerospace simulations. It could crack problems that current computers can't touch.
Right. Cloud and edge computing. That feels more familiar.
Yeah, but becoming even more crucial. Cloud for massive data storage and processing, but edge computing processing data closer to where it's generated, like on a device or local server, becomes important for speed and privacy.
Okay. Immersive reality technology. AR, VR.
Exactly. Augmented, virtual, mixed reality getting more sophisticated, more integrated, could really change remote work, training, entertainment, socializing.
Two more. Digital trust technologies and cybersecurity AI.
Super important. As everything gets more connected, securing it all and ensuring trust, knowing data is safe, interactions are genuine, becomes paramount. AI will be used both to attack and defend systems.
An arms race, basically.
Kind of, yeah. And finally, low and no-code software development.
Meaning?
Tools that let people build software applications without needing to be expert coders. Drag and drop interfaces, visual tools, It could democratize software creation.
Okay, that's a pack list of 10.
Well,
But there's another 10 that are also considered likely, maybe slightly bigger predictions.
yeah, perhaps a bit further out or more transformative if they land.
Like what? Give us a few highlights.
Okay, how about instant multimodal AI avatars? Like really realistic digital representations of people or AI assistants that you can interact with naturally through voice and visuals.
And adaptive predictive artificial intelligence, or APAI.
This is AI that doesn't just analyze the past, but gets really good at predicting future events and adapting systems proactively. Think optimizing global supply chains before disruptions happen, or predicting health issues in patients much earlier.
That could be huge. What else?
Lab-grown food, moving from niche to maybe commercially viable. Big potential environmental benefits there, reducing reliance on traditional agriculture.
Less impact on land and water.
Potentially, yes.
Well,
Also things like commercially viable DNA storage, using DNA to store digital data incredibly densely,
wow.
and AI-powered brain-computer interfaces. Still hurdles there, obviously, but imagine controlling devices or receiving information directly via brain signals. Huge potential, huge ethical considerations, too.
Definitely. Any others jump out?
Well, better batteries, crucial for EVs, obviously, but also for storing renewable energy. Improved weather prediction AI, for better disaster warning. Preventative medicine, empowered by AI, catching diseases earlier.
We're seeing AI woven through so many of these.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Also, real-time linguistic translation, maybe like super advanced Google Glass translating conversations instantly, and adaptive PII detection,
PI.
personally identifiable information.
Yeah.
So, AI systems getting smarter about automatically detecting and protecting sensitive personal data. Crucial for privacy as AI becomes more pervasive.
Okay, that's a lot of potential change packed into less than a decade.
It really is. And it ties back to something McKinsey points out in their Next Normal work.
What's that?
They highlight how the pandemic forced companies and whole sectors to adapt and innovate incredibly quickly. Remember how fast remote work tools rolled out or vaccine development happened?
Yeah, it was astonishing,
The
actually.
point is, if even some of that speed and agility can be sustained, the next 10 years could see just an unprecedented explosion of innovation.
So things that seem pretty futuristic now could become commonplace much faster than we might expect.
That's the idea. They paint a picture where, lab-grown meat is on the menu. You might have mostly digital wardrobe.
Your digital wardrobe.
Yeah, maybe trying on clothes virtually,
Mhm.
or digital fashion becoming a bigger thing. Also, robot surgeons doing complex procedures routinely, electric aircraft for shorter hops, connected wellness devices constantly tracking health.
It really does feel like the pace is accelerating.
And what's really interesting is how these things might combine, AI plus biotech plus better connectivity. The intersections could lead to outcomes we haven't even thought of yet.
So pulling this all together then, the big takeaway seems to be that the next decade isn't just about incremental improvements. We're looking at potentially fundamental shifts in how we live, work, interact. Pretty much everything.
I think that's fair to say. Across so many different sectors, the potential for significant technological transformation is really high.
Which leads us to the final thought for you, listening at home.
Right. Out of all these possibilities, the AI integration, the biotech breakthroughs, the immersive realities, the sustainability tech, which ones do you think will actually hit home the hardest?
Yeah, what will have the most profound impact on your daily life? And what opportunities or maybe what challenges do you see coming from these shifts?
It's worth considering how they might all connect, too. What happens when AI meets personalized medicine meets quantum computing? The unforeseen consequences could be just as important as the intended ones.
Plenty to think about. Thanks for joining us on the Deep Dive.